Hello, hello. I am Anna, your vocal coach and music teacher, and I am here with beautiful Melissa Bonny. Thank you so much for taking the time to have this chat with me. And it's morning time, so I would like to ask, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Um, Depends, but more of a night owl. And you?
Early bird.
Oh,
Mm. I just enjoy the feeling of getting up with the sun and settling with the sun. It's like so natural rhythm for me.
oh, right. Now I'm more like I start slowly. It depends. Now I have a dog, so I she starts us whenever she wants. But I like to keep going in the night, and I have ideas in the night, and that's when the world sleeps, so you don't get emails or messages, so you just like keep going with your creativity. So yeah,
I
more yeah.
yeah, I feel that. So do you feel like you are the most inspired during the early hours?
Yeah, early hours or like night hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I actually hear this a lot that people like to um get to work, at least what comes to the artistic stuff, when the night falls because they don't feel they are obligated to do anything else during the night.
Yeah,
They are not
yeah, yeah.
rushed. Everyone's asleep, and like you said, you don't get any emails. You're not contacted. You're not reached. So that's when the spirits are
Mm.
talking to you, I guess.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. I think I'm going to actually later ask about your creative process more. But one of the first questions or themes I'd like to cover is that, of course, I recently reacted to your single Surrender, and I was blown away by your voice and your versatility, quite frankly. But my music fam, my subscribers, my followers told me that reacting to Surrender probably wasn't the best song to start my Ad Infinitum slash Melissa Bonny journey, though.
It's
So, yeah,
yeah.
could you could you give me like a little recap on
Yeah,
on
sure.
your vocal journey and Ad Infinitum? How has the band's direction shifted now?
Yeah, we started out as a symphonic metal band, symphonic power melodic. We're still with a little modern touch, but like if you listen to the first record, it's definitely more symphonic. And then we started to take some steps towards modern metal, but still in a very conservative way because we didn't want to scare the fans of the first album. But with
Ah.
this fourth record, we were like, okay, what do we want to do without having in mind other people's expectations and the box that we started in. And so we went straight to what felt right for us now, what felt represented us now. And it's more modern. It's like there's very very little amount of symphonic elements.
Ah.
And Surrender, if you picked Surrender, you picked the I called it the the weird child because it's like definitely the one that is the most at the edge of anything we've done, like the most poppy, the most. Yeah, it's weird structure. It's like we had fun, and we definitely wanted to release it as a single because we had so much fun, and because it's so odd that we wanted to like maybe provoke a little bit because this is part of us.
Mm? All right. So how how did you end up doing Surrender? Like what led up to this? You said you wanted to just like try your wings and do something different.
Mhm. Um, so the creation process of Surrender was like this. I think I started out with a demo at my place, and then I sent it to Nick, and we worked together Nick is our drummer.
Yeah.
And then we brought it like still in a kind of an early stage to the our songwriting camp, and the guys discovered it, and Adrian was like, "Ooh, I think I know what to do with that song," and then we worked on it together, and um and we made it evolve from this demo stage that we had with Nick to what it is now. But throughout the process, it was like some of us were convinced, and some of us were waiting to see the end result to see if we were confident releasing it, because of how different it is. So
Mm.
we started to play really with like synthwave um sounds, and more, and and a very different type of vocals, and also lyrics, more playful, more less less like big storytelling, more like more playful.
Yeah. Uh, the like lyric wise, what's the song is about to you?
It's it's about letting go, about what if we just let go, and
Mm.
just decided to choose happiness, and what makes us um vibrate.
Yeah. Interesting, because I was actually thinking about that a lot when I was listening to you and listening to that piece, because one of the first things that I said was that I wasn't expecting this like at all, and I was yeah, ooh, yeah, here
Yeah.
we go, and I was like, what symphonic metal band? What is this? What's going on? And like,
Mm.
what are your influences and your roots for your cleans, because they're like so vastly different from your screams.
If you saw my playlist, you would wonder how many personalities I have. I love all sorts of music, and in one car trip, I will listen to Bring Me the Horizon, to Dua Lipa, to to Bad Omens, to Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah, I love all sorts of music, and I find, like, for example, singers like Ariana Grande or Demi Lovato are singers that really inspired me to develop some techniques that you don't necessarily hear every day in metal. And that's the thing that I like the most. Like, I like when vocals are multidimensional.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the variety, and the surprise effect is definitely there when you have this softness and this strong pop elements. It's like popping straight at your face, and then suddenly you just go full on. What if we just go?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what? What? It reminded me of the first jump scare I had when I reacted to Pisces from Ginger. It had this very
Yeah.
similar kind of, maybe Tati is more like Paramore and that kind of stuff. And when I listened to you, I heard much more this like softness and this kind of all these spices like vocal fries and cries
Mm-mm-mm.
and this kind of stuff. You must have taken singing classes, am I right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel like they like benefited your
Oh, yeah.
vocals? Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, my story with vocal classes is like this. I've had classes, but like basic classes. When I was a kid, I was part of a choir for many years at school, but you don't really learn in depth about vocal technique. You sing children's songs, and then a few years later, I started making music, and I joined my first band. And one guy joined one rehearsal. It was I don't know. I think he was a producer that we wanted to work with, and he joined one rehearsal to see a little bit what the band was about. And he gave his feedback, and basically he was like, "Ah, guitar is good. Ah, bassist good. Ah, pianist good. Drummer good. Singer, you need." to take vocal lessons. You have no technique. And I was like,
Ouch.
oh. And I mean, that was the best piece of advice that I was ever given for my career, because the like right after I contacted my old teacher at school, music teacher, and I was like, do you know someone who could coach me? And he pointed me to the person who helped me like build a foundation and learn technique, and like, just like from the ground up, breath support, um yeah, everything basically
Yeah.
from the very beginning. And that was like, that opened a whole new world to me, because then suddenly I could actually sing and master some techniques and build my register.
Yeah, and kind of like build up that toolbox that you can
Exactly.
use in Surrender, for example, right now. It's like
Yeah,
you have the variety there. You can choose what to do instead of just like being, well, this is what I've always done, so this is what I'll do.
exactly.
So you first sang only cleans,
Yep.
and after that came the dark side. The
Exactly.
angel and the
Yeah.
demon. So how did you self learn screams and growls?
Yeah, so I was looking for a teacher, and the only one I found, because I was living in Switzerland back then, and the only one I found in Switzerland, she was living, I think, an hour away or more, so I didn't see myself going there all the time. Plus she was like, at that time, too expensive for me.
Yeah,
I don't remember how old I was, but I was not rich.
yeah,
I was young and poor and a musician. No. um no, I'm joking, but it was just like not in my possibilities. And so I watched so many YouTube videos to find the one that clicked, like find the one that I could resonate with, to
yeah,
understand how to produce a sound. And so I found the one, and I started working on my own. I was going to the rehearsal room of my band, and like, um just practicing first, some words, then some sentences, and
yeah,
then some songs, but with doing like one out of two sentences, and then finally full songs
yeah.
with screams. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Not to kind of take the whole cake at once and maybe
Yeah.
just like, well, support. What's that? And then,
Yeah.
okay, maybe sound, maybe one vowel for 3 seconds. Whoa, a winner, and then build up from there. How old were you at this point?
I'm trying to remember. um I would like to say early 20s, because it was at the time when my band my band was releasing or recording my former band was first band was releasing the first album, and I think it was around, or my first EP actually. And I was about to join Radio Flight, so I think it was maybe, I think 22 years old, maybe
Yeah,
21, 22, something like this.
okay. So you first went to vocal classes for clean singing and you were in your early 20s and you started doing your screams. And right now, what types of screams call your name? What types of screams do you gravitate towards?
um I'm trying to, to expand my toolbox, like you
Yeah.
said, but the one that I use the most is the full score scream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you give me an early morning example?
Oh my god, I'm not warm. Plus, you know what? It's not. I would usually do it. I'll try to do it, but I've just come back from a trip, and I'm sick. I feel like I have like an inflammation or something, and I'm actually panicking a little bit because we start a tour next week. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
I saw that, and I actually thought that you would say no because it is early morning, and I know you have a very tight schedule, and it's not something that people just jump into doing. But my following question would be actually, uh, what kind of scream basics would you say a beginner singer, beginner screamer should start with?
Mm, I don't know. I think it depends because you mean what type of scream?
Yeah, or like, is there a easy scream to learn?
Yeah, I think the one that I learned is at least for me it was the easiest because the way I learned it was there was this girl explaining you have to imagine that you are a teenager
Mm,
and you're in your room
yeah.
and your mom is downstairs and she's like, "Have you cleaned your room?" And you're like, "Ugh." And you're
Yeah.
like, "Ugh." And then she's like half an hour later, she's like, "Have you cleaned your room?" And you're like, "Ugh." And it resonated with me because I was a teenager who took time to clean rooms. And then when you build this, when you have this, "Ugh,"
Mm.
then you try to expand it like and then you start to build upon this like with words and you start with a word. And another technique that I learned that I heard of, if you don't resonate with the teenager who needs to clean their room, is the barking dog. It's like woof woof.
Yeah. Yeah. Those examples are like so good and easy to relate to. You know, one thing, so are we talking about false chord right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I was in a traffic jam and I was like, for
Yeah,
freaking sake. And I was like, oh, and I was, oh, that's it.
that's a very
Yeah.
good example. That's a grown up example. It happens to me more than I would
Yeah.
admit.
It's like if you find the natural, relaxed um, frustration and kind of start building up from there, for you as well,
Mm.
that would be like a good bath to start with.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The scream of frustration.
Scream of frustration. Cool. I will keep on telling my students that then. Um, One thing that I started wondering, as you said, that you feel like you are a little bit cloaked right now. How
Yeah.
do you maintain and take care of your voice then?
Um, well, that's a little bit of a special situation because it's a sensation that I've never felt before. So I'm trying to stay super hydrated because I kind of observe the symptoms around it. I see that for example, I have dry lips, so that means okay, hydration.
Mm.
Um, I try to I have my little nebulizer. I
Yeah.
have for when you're sick. When you're sick, I have a steamer with like little drops of essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of myths around steaming and nebulizing and all that. So I what I learned is that nebulizing is a good thing on tour on a daily basis. Steaming is more like when you feel like things are getting closed, like the airways. So I try to live by that, and then some tea. I have some throat coat. I have some little what is it? Those little not candies, but like those things that have honey and ginger and
Yeah, like
not
some
yeah
sort of like mental pastilles.
yeah something like that.
Yeah.
And then I try to get like fresh air and sun and to rest. That's number one, like to rest a lot, especially in preparation of the tour. I try to also include every day some singing, not to like just jump straight into it and shock my body going from nothing to performing every day 100%, 200%. um especially because on this tour I have double duty with two bands,
Oh,
singing with two
we.
bands. So yeah,
Hee
so I'm
hee.
trying to like it's like the gym, you cannot just like stay away from it and then go straight into lifting hundreds of kilos.
I love the way you are ahead of my questions all the time, but my second my second question or like follow-up question for this would have been, are you a fan of an active recovery, like when you feel
Mm.
that your voice is getting there, instead of just being silent and just vocal resting, you kind of start doing some sort of gentle exercises to kind of start building up the
Mm.
stamina?
I try, although I try not to force it too much because I mean I feel how my voice is, and in the past I made the mistake to like be too stubborn, and I was like I want to be able to do everything now, and then it would just make things worse. Now I listen, I feel, I'm like okay, I'm gonna do a little bit and see how it feels today, and not push it too much.
Mm,
And like for example, I was telling you like how I feel, but that I would still try the screams and just like actually doing those little screams tell me okay, it feels better than yesterday.
yeah.
So I'll do a little bit more after, and I'll do like short to see how much I can do, and like see when it starts to feel a little bit like too much.
Yeah, it's so important to listen to your body, and from what I've understood, you are a bit of a workaholic. so 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 it's hard. It's hard to stop when you feel the first when you feel the
Yeah.
first sign at all.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also some pressure when you have a tour coming. So I also um want to make things okay as soon as possible. And that's
Mm?
that's yeah, a little bit of an obsession
Do
sometimes, I
you
guess.
stress about getting better before your tour?
Usually I don't. I'm very positive, but this time a little bit because it's like the first rehearsal is just 5 days away, or
Yeah.
six, no, 5 days away, 6 days away. So yeah, because of this sensation that I don't think I've ever felt this before, like when you breathe and then at a certain point it starts to hurt just to breathe. So I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit of a problem, but it's getting better. So I'm very positive, and I'm like I have my action plan of what I will do, the self-care action plan.
Good. Good. Like kind of work actively, but don't stress too much about it, because that's your
Yeah.
immunity going right
Yeah.
after that. Um,
Yeah.
sounds like you are taking a very good care of your vocal like hygiene as well. If you steam, because steam goes to your pipes where your vocal cords are, and like if you feel like you have something here, then like yes, you can drink, but it goes to your tummy, it doesn't go to your pipes, hopefully. But like steam is so important for
Eventually, I mean,
those.
everything that oh, sorry, I think we had a little bit of a
It's
delay.
okay, it's okay.
Um, yeah, and now I'm frozen. um, no, I was gonna say, for me, drinking is important because eventually it also like it goes through the whole body. But when you need a like hydration right now, I'll my go-to will be the nebulizer.
Yeah.
And like I said, if I'm sick, I'll steam. Also for for relaxation purposes, it just feels like you breathe and you do nothing else.
Yeah, it's like a form of meditation as well. Your body and
Yeah.
your mind is like,
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
I think each singer has a sort of own own little potion or spice they usually kind of sprinkle in the steaming water. I know some people, if they want to relax, they'll use like chamomile. One of my former vocal coaches, when I was getting down with a serious cold, she was like, steam, but put cloves in the steaming
Okay.
water. That was like so antibacterial, antifungal, and everything, and also a little bit like, I don't want to say mental, like,
Mm.
but it also freshened up my pipes so, and like kind of opened up my nasal cavities so much better than just the steam. So if
Mm, mm, mm.
I think in the future I'm just going to like do a list of all the secret potions that singers do. That's gonna be long.
That's yeah. I think we all have our little tools and secrets, and also our little. There's some of it that is like science based, and some of it that is more placebo because it feels good. And
Yeah.
regardless of this, I mean, whatever works.
I mean, I love a good placebo. Like if it makes me
Yeah,
feel good, why not?
yeah, same.
So you said you're going to do this tour with two bands, okay? So
Mm.
what would be your like ultimate dream venue or place to get to perform?
Ooh, um,
You can
I
name
mean,
many.
yeah, I don't think I have like one. Maybe a place like Wembley, or
Hmm.
those huge places.
Go big, girl.
That would be. Yeah, I mean, would love to see my band perform in front of like a huge crowd like this. I don't know if it's like, I don't know what the sensation would be, if it would be better or worse than smaller venues, because in smaller venues you have a different connection with people, but like just for the experience and for the sake of bringing the band there, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, those are like big venues with big
Yeah.
audiences, and I can already kind of, when I imagine, when I visualize that, like the energy that you get from the audience from a place like that
Yeah.
will be like hitting a wall almost. It's like, whoa. Of course, it's a two-way street, so it's not like stopping you, but it's like giving you the good boost and the energy. Mm, you're going to do this hectic tour this autumn. Um, what already released song you are the most excited to get to perform?
Ooh, I think Outer Space, because
Ooh,
it's like this is the first single that we released this year, and it's still one of my favorites. I mean, I'm actually excited to play Surrender as well because it's also one of my favorite of the album. But Outer Space has this energy that that I don't know. We already experienced it during the American tour and during the summer festivals, and I just have a good time every time. Also because I think it's also the memories around it. Like, it was the first single of this album that we performed live, and I just remember the first day. I think we were in Baltimore. We played it for the first time, and I remember that moment where I was like, I want to play it again because it felt just so good. And yeah, so that's my, I think that would be my answer.
I love the thinking process behind that. Thank you for being so elaborate. So you said Surrender had this kind of being in the moment and letting go feeling.
Yeah.
So you wrote lyrics yourself for this one as well.
Yeah.
What's the songwriting process for Outer Space as well?
um so this one, if I remember correctly, Nick had a demo, and we opened it all together when we were at our songwriting camp, and it just there was such an energy that it just we just created it so fast. We were so inspired,
Yeah.
and then at the end we were like, this has to be a single, and probably the first single, because it's just like sometimes you create demos and you're like, okay, we're happy, and sometimes you create demos and you're like, this has to be presented to the world.
Oh my goodness.
And this was one of those.
So it was like an easy process for you guys.
Yes.
I love it when a song has this kind of hey, here I am feel to it.
Yeah.
Do you have any song that kind of struggled in like during its birthing process?
Yeah. Um there were a couple of songs, but I would mention wait. There was one song where I completely changed the vocals right before recording them, and I think it was hold on. I think it was Parasite.
Okay.
Because I think that it was originally not meant to be like this. Like it has a lot of screams. And I
Mm?
think there was another idea first, and then it just became what it is. But like it was like there was an idea and I wasn't sure, and I was like, okay, I'm recording it tomorrow in the studio, and I also still need lyrics and yeah, I think it just became super aggressive because I was pissed that day.
Things escalated, so to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, I think you channeled your frustration to a good place.
That's usually what I do. I put everything in music.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to kind of express when you feel like you don't have other places to put your anger or your frustration to. It's a very healthy place to express anything, really, at least I think so.
It's better than hitting people, so
It's either or, it's black and white. If I don't scream, I hit people. Dark secrets of Melissa Bonny.
unveiled.
No, I do think that that was like, I don't think a lot of people could even imagine that song to be sung any other way anymore if they didn't know or if they even knew that story
Mm-mm.
behind it. Like it's very hard to for me to even imagine how it would be without those hard vocals.
Yeah. I
Interesting.
don't even remember like what the first version was. I should dig into the demos.
Please do spill the tea. Like I do think like me and a lot of other people find those kind of stuff super interesting, like to first know the original song and then or like the published original song and then kind of first demo or like alternative
Mm.
version and then people are like, can this
Yeah.
be expressed this way? Oh my god, this is so interesting.
I would love to hear the process and of bands that I listen to, like to hear songs that I like and to see like first version and things like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I am a singer-songwriter myself, but I've never like performed harsh vocals ever. I was only introduced to that like via my YouTube channel and like just the recent years, maybe 3 years, I've been dipping my toes in the extreme vocal waters and that sort of stuff. So I really cannot imagine how different or similar the songwriting process must be. So the whole idea of creating an extreme vocal song, it's very intriguing.
Yeah, it's I think it just like flows with the energy of the song for me. I don't go like I mean no, that's wrong. I sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I want to write harsh vocals," but most of the time it's like you have the vibe of the song and then you're just like, "Oh, it makes sense with harsh vocals," or with the energy of what you're in the process of writing, it demands harsh vocals. Most of the time that's how it happens for me. It's like we're writing something and then I'm like, okay, this has to be
Yeah.
like this. There's been a couple of songs, especially recently we just wrote something new and we were like, like I was like, I want to write something with more harsh vocals, and then we started with that in mind. But this is not very often because for me, my main instrument is clean vocals.
Yeah. I love the way you say that the song demands. It demands the harsh vocals. But it comes down to the expression, which I think leads you a lot, and a lot of other singers as well. You're like, what does this song need? And then you kind of
Hmm.
gravitate with that. You're like, if you are going over like maybe harder themes, or you want to kind of spice things up a little, then you might want to add more growl to it or something like that.
Yeah. Um, Especially in like it goes along with the instrumental parts, like with the instrumental elements. Um, like an easy example is the breakdowns, and if the big breakdown hits hard, I will not be like na 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 na
That
na.
would be a cool
That could be cool, but yeah.
Oh my goodness, that would be. I think I've never heard like a riff go down like da 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 da, and they're like la 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 la. Yeah. But yeah, it's true. If the band goes harder, if the band goes more distorted, you want to kind of go along with the flow, right?
Mhm.
During your songwriting process, do you like collaborate with the band with the riffs a lot?
Yeah, I mean, in the best case scenario, when we are all together in the same room and start a song from scratch, we decide a mood, we decide the tempo of the song, the key, and so on. And it depends what comes first. Sometimes we jam with vocals and then we build on top. Sometimes we jam with a riff and then
Yeah.
we build on top. But it all like it's a little it's a little constructions that everything builds up together. So yeah, it's everything is like this.
Yeah, yeah, and I love how it's ever changing. I do think it's one of the most irritating questions to say, like, tell me about your songwriting process, because you'll be like, which one? Because people do get inspiration from all over the place. Like, this was more collaborative. This I wrote first, and then I took it to the band, etc. And so I've understood that Ad Infinitum was supposed to be, or was originally your solo project.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how did this happen?
um so I was still in my first band and second band, and I just like I had a lot of fun writing music with them, but my first band even more, um was a band that was formed before I arrived, and they had already their direction and their style and a lot of songs that were written. And and with Rage of Light, it was mainly John's project. He's the main songwriter, and then I could influence a little bit things with my voice, but like usually the demos were already like pretty final, and then I could add vocals. So it doesn't give a lot of freedom for creating vocal lines.
Yeah.
And so when I was working with those two bands, I thought, I really want to work on something that is really me, that I can direct the way I want. And I started writing an EP, and then I started working with a producer, and he was like, is that really your sound? And so we defined my sound. I started from scratch. Those demos were like erased.
All right.
And at that time, yeah, and at that time I started I started writing the first Ad Infinitum record. And as I was investing private money and time and energy, I thought, this is starting to sound really good, and I don't want I don't want to just release an EP anymore. I want to
Mm.
make an album and I want to bring it on stage because it would be a pity to spend this like all this time and money, to be honest, and then just like have a little EP that no one will ever hear about if I don't really promote it. But I didn't want to have I didn't want it to be like me and some dudes or some girls.
Mm.
I wanted everyone to relate to this project and to feel connected to it. So that's why it turned into a band, from a solo project to a band. And so from that moment on, everyone was really like involved in the whole process. I had already written, I would say, half of the album,
Mm.
and then we started working together with my bandmates to complete it, and it just felt right.
Mm.
It felt so much better because now it's everyone's baby,
Yeah, I love that idea because people do need to feel connection to the music that they play, obviously, so that they
right?
can feel driven to do that.
Yeah.
So, was the first album that you did crowdfunded?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, you know, we had one song out and we managed to raise um enough money to have like the whole production of the album. Plus, I mean, we signed after that. We signed with Napalm Record, and we also had some budget coming there. But like mostly the album is funded by the crowdfunding, and then we got some, I think, video budget or something like that. Um, which which is incredible because like we had one song out and people were like, I believe in this.
That's so crazy. It must have been very touching feeling for you to feel the support of all the folk that
Yeah.
felt connected to the music based on one song.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of people who had some trust in me because of the other project that they liked. Like they liked Rage of Light, they liked even more. So they were like, okay, we we can we can we can trust in the will of of these guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously they had heard you probably earlier, but it's with the new venture, it for a lot of people it can be a gamble, so to say, to be like, do I want to
Yeah.
support this? But that was like so incredible, the amount that you were able to like kind of gather to
Mm.
like ultimately quite easily like do this album
Yeah.
after all.
Yeah.
What year was this, by the way?
2018.
2019. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And then you toured around with the first album, yeah?
Yeah, but a while later because we released the first record in March 2020, which is exactly when the pandemic hit. And so we had to wait until 2022 to have our first tour.
Yeah. This is what I kind of like gathered. So what happened during the pandemic then?
So we released our first album in March 2020. Then we had plenty of time at home to we were kind of it in a roller coaster of emotions because when everything got like locked down and canceled or postponed, we're like, okay, that's it. Nobody's gonna hear about our album because we cannot promote it. And the opposite happened because everybody was home and everybody was on social media and seeing like we took it as an opportunity to really like connect with everyone and stay connected with everyone. So we were very active. We re-recorded the album but as an acoustic version, and then we followed up with the second album in I think October 2021, and then the third record was in 23, um, beginning of the year 23.
Yeah.
So we were like, since we couldn't tour, we had more time, and we thought, okay, we have to stay relevant because people who liked our first records, we cannot really connect with them through shows because we cannot tour. So there are other ways offered to us, and we did like two online shows. um, and lots of videos, and yeah, we tried our best, and this is how I think how the connection with our fan base was built. Yeah.
It's funny how a lot of people say that they fear that the pandemic will kind of start their downhill and end their career. And then,
Mm,
at least from what you said, you kind of came up with new things on how to connect, and you actually managed to build a stronger fan base, a stronger foundation, a like this huge anticipation.
mm.
You did online shows, yes, but people are like, oh my god, I cannot wait to go to their concert. And then, boom, we are touring, by the way. And the people are like, take my money. I want to experience this. I want to connect with you live. I want to, like, kind of get the whole cake now when I can. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the pandemic is still a tragedy, but we were like, we're super grateful and forever grateful for all the support that we received during the pandemic, and also like it was such a beautiful moment when we could finally play live and see like people knowing our songs and singing along, and yeah, that was something special.
Yeah, truly, truly. And that's something what I've experienced with my channel as well. I was like, well, shit, I cannot connect with my students live anymore. What will I do? And this is one of the most
Mm,
asked questions still today. Like, why do you speak Finnish and English? Because my channel was Finnish, because it was made for my students during the
mm.
pandemic.
Yeah.
And then things happened, and actually, the pandemic changed the way I worked for a longer, longer
Mm.
time. And for you, it really paved the way for Ad Infinitum. By the way, do you have like from each album like a tip song for me to listen to? What would be like the songs where I would like
Ooh.
need to hear go to
Yeah.
songs?
So I think from the first album, I would recommend Marching on Versailles because it was the first single that was released when we announced the album,
Mm,
and that's the one that really caught the attention of people.
mm,
The second album, Unstoppable, it's the one that had like it had the biggest rise of the like in no time we had like in I think in just above 24 hours we had 100,000 views on YouTube, and then it went to a million very very quick, and then we were like, okay, what's going on? This is
mm.
really the what's going on moment for us. um from the third album, I would say Upside Down, and well, and now it's a fourth album and you've discovered Surrender, so
I'm so excited for the rest of the stuff. Like, just based on Surrender, I'm like, anything can happen. Like, can you spill anything? What's going to unreveal itself very soon?
So next week we have a new video and single coming, and we have the album coming.
Yes.
So there's that, and then there's another video coming later after the album release, and I'm actually so excited about this one because we worked with the same team for the whole album for when it comes to the videos,
Mm,
and they created some evolution. Like you can see little uh, elements that connect each video to the next.
mm,
And the last video that we will release, I think in November, I think something like that, is the the one that's like it's at the end of the chain, and so
mm,
there's like a visual transformation. Um, and so Cami, who's the makeup artist and like responsible for costumes and all that, he transformed me into something, and that's like during the process of filming, I was sending videos to my husband, and he was it was just very funny because like you don't recognize me at all.
Wow. Wow. You really know how to keep a fool waiting for things. I'm so excited. Wow. Okay. You know what? I think that's all the questions I have for you today.
Mhm.
I was wondering, do you have anything you'd like to say to the music fam and to the people who are watching this chat regarding your autumn, maybe?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing many of you, hopefully, on tour, and especially for the people in Finland. We are coming, I think, when was it? In January, end of January. So, or is it beginning of February? I don't know. We're coming soon next year, early next year, and I'm really looking forward to this because we've only played one show in Finland this summer. That was our first show there, and
Hmm.
so we're looking forward to being back.
Yeah, Finland is a great metal venue over
Yes.
any place, really. Oh my god, I'm so excited for this. Thank you so, so much for this interview. Have a great autumn, and we'll stay tuned for the album release for sure. Let me know if there's anything I can do to give it some more boost. And again,
Thank
just thank
you.
you so much for making the room in your busy schedule for this chat to happen.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a very nice and interesting conversation. Nice way to start the day.
Yay!